Hello, this is Angela with Parco's Permaculture. It is the end of April 2019 and I am in the chicken run, well, the poultry run. We have ducks and chickens. And I wanted to make a short video just showing what some of the plants in this part of the orchard look like. So we have 1/4 acre permaculture based property in Portland, Oregon. I've been involved with permaculture for more than 20 years. I've been very passionate about it since way before I ever was able to own property. However, as I get older, I'm 40 now, I think more and more about adding aesthetic beauty as well as functional beauty. So for me, flowers and combinations of foliage that nurture the soul and bring beauty to the garden and make me want to be out in the garden more are as important as nitrogen fixers, insectary plants, food plants, medicinal plants. So I'm trying to add in more of those. I have all the bones of the medicinal and food plants and nitrogen fixers and all those things pretty well established. So this year my goal is to sort of add some curb appeal to my front yard and to add some more flowers. Again, like for aesthetic value, but they also, pretty much all the ones I'm adding also have a medicinal value, or they attract beneficial insects, so or repel pest insects. So there is layers of value beyond the aesthetic quality, but I feel like I've sort of missed a little bit in my pursuit of function in the last 10 years. I really quickly want to show you this tiny, I don't know if you can see it. Look at this little jumping spider. Oh my goodness. Hey, buddy. This tree is covered in jumping spiders, and I'm not quite sure what it is that they're feeding off of because I don't see any pests. But obviously they're after something, be it ants or I'm not sure. Anyway, that's one of several I've seen. So this is an heirloom apple tree that I grafted myself 9 years ago. This is a Cox's Orange Pippin, which is my favorite apple tree. It produces very well for an heirloom tree. It can be a little fussy. I've found that it needs a little bit of babying, but it's very, very happy down here in the chicken run where it gets lots of nitrogen. Okay, there's the chicken coop down there. So this is the part of the orchard I wanted to focus on. We added a gate. So I've gone around this year, my husband and my teenagers and I have added a number of gates and temporary fencing in the garden using pallets and scrap metal that we've had around. Only having to purchase hinges, and we've had to purchase a couple of these spikes, but not many. We had a bunch in the shed. The reason for that is that I wanted to create a rotational poultry paddock. And also there's parts of the garden that I have wanted to keep the birds out of and really struggled with more temporary plastic fencing, and I'm not going to use electric fencing in the city. So we built some structures. So I'm saying that while the ducks and chickens are loose in the entire garden because it's still fairly early. I've let them out in a supervised sort of setting where I'm out gardening and they're allowed out for a little bit so they don't destroy things. For me, it's not the ducks so much, it's the chickens have scratched and ruined many of my herbaceous perennials, including some very rare ones and including a bunch of natives that are hard to get going and establish. So they're banned from certain parts of the yard, and then other parts I want them to really rotate in and out so that they can feed for a while, decimate the slug population, and then get kicked out before they kill too many things. So, okay, so coming through this gate, this is gonna have hops growing over it, as well as I'm really addicted to clematis. Yes, I'm an American and I say clematis, even though clematis is the proper way to say it. I have many kinds of clematis. So this is gonna get some stuff over this. Here I have a super dwarf mulberry. This is the duck house made of free pallets. Kind of took apart many years ago. 3 pallets and scrounged metal. It's held together great. If you can get industrial oak pallets, they hold up super well even in a rainy situation. So this is a dwarf mulberry. We had a very cold winter for Oregon, for our part of Oregon. Had a ton of dieback. So it's not very happy. Should be dense and shrubby, and it's just now leafing out, but I've noticed there's just a ton of dieback on it. So maybe if it gets that cold again this winter, I'll wrap some burlap around it. Okay. This is my Medlar tree, Mespalis germanica. It is in the rose family. You can see it is getting ready to bloom. Get the camera to focus on it. Up here. It'll be covered in white flowers that are very open and upright and easy for insects to pollinate. Mespalis germanica is sort of, I mean, it's a very old fruit, but the leaves look kind of almost tropical. It reminds me a little bit of a loquat, except not so thick and glossy. They're just very unusual looking. So I also had a branch of a fig tree got damaged and fell and damaged the side of the tree. So the tree is very uneven right now, but I'm going to work on, sorry, my camera's having trouble with the sunshine focusing. I'm going to work on getting a new branch going this way so it's balanced again. This is my Negron fig. Violet of Bordeaux is the other name. I took it back radically. I'm going to be making a scaffold structure for easy fruit access. So this is like a rehab year, so I won't get very many figs on it. Coming through here, this is a gate my husband made me out of prunings. I really like it because it's got a little handle, open and close. This up here is Clematis Montana, one of my favorite species of clematis. It is evergreen. It's very shade tolerant compared to other clematis, and it grows 25 to 40 feet depending on the variety. This one has a little bit more reddy foliage, and the blooms are just about to open. I don't know if you can see up here. All of that is going to be blooms. It's going to be legit. I'm super excited. And it blooms for a very long period. This kind is a pruning group. One, it requires no pruning at all, unless it's in your way. This is my Jude the Obscure rose. I do like David Austin roses, so it's trained for maximum flower production. It's a little thorny. It's a lot thorny. This is a pear tree. This is a Seckel pear. So pears in Oregon are extremely prone to, we're a reservoir for fire blight. So if you grow pears here and you don't want to spray, you need to grow very resistant varieties. And the Seckel pear is one of the most highly resistant varieties to fire blight. It is not immune. So I have had to remove a branch that was, you have to remove infected branches, get rid of them. It's also self-fertile, so it doesn't need a buddy to pollinate it. I love pears, but like I also love low effort, so I'm not going to get something that I have to spray and that I have to constantly prune and deal with fire blight. I want disease resistance. Oh, here comes the chicken. Okay, moving along. This is Gumi, Elaeagnus multiflora in full bloom. I used to think it wasn't very fragrant, but you can definitely smell it. And when it's this enormous cascade of blossoms, you can definitely smell the aroma. It's floral and light and lovely. These are my bees that did not survive the winter. I'm looking for a swarm. Super bummed about it. In Portland, the overwinter survival rate is only about 40%. That means you got to catch a swarm almost every year. This is a plant that I just planted. This is Siberian pea shrub, Cara, Gana, Arborescens. It's going to get this tall. And it is a nitrogen fixing pea, obviously pea shrub. And so nitrogen fixation means that it's going to help feed this pear tree and this fig tree. Figs are pretty heavy feeders. And it will have a pea, like pea blossom. It's in the pea family, but they're yellow. Sort of like a wisteria, except yellow. And those blossoms are fragrant and delicious for all kinds of pollinators. So that's a good plant. The peas are technically edible as dried peas. And I also know chickens don't really love the dried peas that much because I've grown it before. The reason that I'm planting this here is I took out another plant that I didn't like here. And I'm trying this pea shrub. I've had 2 pea shrubs in the past, and both times the chickens scratched and destroyed it before it ever got a chance to get very big. So this time around with the pea shrub, the chickens are about to get booted out of this part of the garden for a couple of months. So I'm hoping it will have a chance to get established and not be scratched to death. That plant is from Burnt Ridge Nursery. It was like $2.50. Their prices are fantastic, by the way, if you're willing to start small. Okay, this is a honey crisp apple tree that I've never been happy with and has never done well and is a giant pain in the behind, and I'm thinking about tearing it out, but it looks pretty right now. moving along here, the last tree in this part of the orchard as we move along this gummy berry. Gummy berries, they advertise 6 by 6 foot. That is a lie. They get really big. Not as big as, oh, here's the mason bee. Not as big as some of the other Elaeagnus. Oh, and here's a carpenter bee. So things that really like to feed on this, every species of bee loves to feed on this. Really, and I've even seen hummingbirds coming and attempting to feed off of it. We have resident Anna's hummingbirds. This is covered in mason bees right now. I don't know if you can see it on the footage. That is super cool. But anyway, it gets much bigger. Not as big as autumn olive, but it gets bigger. And also it's thorny. It's thorny. And that's small for a thorn on a gummy berry. So, okay, last plant. This also is a thorny plant. So these are back in this corner because they're thorny and I don't want my kids falling into them. This is a plum, but it's sort of like genetically it's more of a primitive plum. It's a Damson. So I don't know if you've ever had Damson jam. Damsons are small purple plums and they're a little bit bitter. They make wonderful jam and wine and melomel. The tree is a little bit thorny, like any of the old plums, any of the like beach plum relatives. It is a little bit thorny. This tree is ugly. I don't like its branching habit. I'm gonna come in here and take out this branch that has a ugly crook to it. So a narrow crook in a plum tree means when it's laden with fruit, the weight can often cause the branch to snap. So you really want a wide angle like this. Same with pears. You really want to encourage wide angles in your fruit trees. They can tolerate the weight of maturing fruit much better than a narrow crotch angle. So because this part of the garden has been open to the chickens for a couple of years with no limitations, there's nothing growing underneath. I just put down a bunch of mulch. There's no support plants. They've killed every support plant that's been in here. So cautionary tale, if you've got 8 or 10 chickens, you're not going to have any herbaceous or even shrubby understory plants. They're just going to kill them. As you can see, I don't know if you can see down the way, they have eaten all the leaves off of everything up to a chicken height as well. So now that they're getting kicked out of here, I'm going to put in some support plants. And I'm really thinking about, again, that rotational grazing. They don't get more than 2 weeks in here, preferably 1 week at a time, and that way they can't destroy things so much. So let me take a little step out this way, and I'm going to go back to planting. And you can get a look at this part of the garden. So come back this way. This is construction zone. So then you get a little look at how big this part of the garden is. Shed, duck pond. Moving along here. There's those beautiful clematis. There's that gummy berry. And then this is the second part of the duck run and chicken run we'll get to later. So anyway, thank you for watching my video. Please feel free and click like and subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more about permaculture in Zone 8, permaculture in the city, all that kind of stuff. Feel free and leave questions in the comments and I will try and answer them. Thanks.